U.S. President Donald Trump is continuing to push for the American acquisition of Greenland through peaceful means or otherwise. Canada is reportedly considering a military deployment to the island, and analysts say the stakes for Canada could not be clearer.
If the United States takes control of Greenland, it will mean that all of Canada's maritime approaches, and the aerospace approaches for that matter, would be controlled by the United States. So through the Arctic, through the Pacific, and through the Atlantic. And so effectively, we would be in a we would become a quasi-colony of the United States.
Christian Leuprecht is a professor at the Royal Military College. He points out that any Canadian deployment to Greenland would likely be limited, intended to symbolize politically that Canada won't tolerate military action against another NATO nation. Before leaving for the World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Switzerland, the Prime Minister repeated that Greenland's future is for Greenland and Denmark to decide. Leuprecht says American security questions about the Arctic are valid, but notes the U.S. has essentially had free reign of Greenland since 1951, with a treaty that allows them to build as many bases on the island as they want, so long as they notify the Danish and Greenlandic governments.
There is no real Russian or Chinese threat to the Arctic, either against Greenland or against Canada, and so any justification of any aggressive moves by Trump in this way is purely without good faith.
Russian or Chinese threats are one of the reasons the U.S. president has cited in his plans to take over Greenland, a threat Stephen Seidemann of the Canadian Defense and Security Network argues is not real. Emily Regan-Wills of the University of Ottawa is an American but has lived in Canada 13 years. She says this is likely a personal issue for Trump, noting that even Greenland's mineral reserves are extremely difficult to access and may not yield great results.
If you're looking for a kind of logical, sensible reason for the U.S. to desire this outcome, you're going to be looking a long time with no luck.
Now, I also asked Wills about the possibility that the Greenland issue is a political distraction from the domestic problems the Trump administration is facing. Wills said she's a bit skeptical of that idea because that would require a degree of coordination and cohesion that the Trump administration hasn't shown yet. In Ottawa, Xiaoli Li, City News.